Alright guys, welcome back. So recently there's been some drama in the Origin community with the fact they've now revealed OC characters coming towards Origin. And if you watch your channel, you would know I have been very vocal with the fact I don't like the idea of OCs coming towards the game. And also my Twitter post, which actually a developer has responded to that tweet actually. If you don't know, there is a guy called Kevin MD in the 76 League Discord, has not only been leaking stuff towards Grand Cross, but has done a massive Q&A towards Origin, given a lot of insight towards not only the game, but also the OC characters too. And honestly, it does sound pretty exciting. Before we start the video and also talk about OC characters, I want to start by saying, guys, I like OC characters. All of us like OC characters. When 76 Grand Cross announced the Ragnarok expansion, I think Grand Cross, as a fan, all of us, this was the peak of it. Everyone's excited for it. Not only are we going to get to see a new story with the Sins after the anime has ended, we're also going to get to see some new characters that will fit into the world of 70 Sins. And a lot of us liked it. And within the last 2 years, people have now grown detached from the OC characters because they're now taken away from 70 Sins characters. And especially this year, right, we've gotten too many OC characters, not enough 70 Sins characters. And especially with 4 Knights meant to be making appearances towards the game, which is now started, right, twice, by the way. We had the new beginning and then now the beginning, and we're still getting OC characters. That is why people are annoyed about OC characters, but it wasn't always like that. People really liked them in the early days, and I myself included. Like, Green Easter was one of my favorite characters. All of us were so excited about the expansion towards Ragnarok. You know, OCs in a game isn't bad if they handle it correctly. You know, despite what people say in the 70s League Discord, I actually do like OC characters, probably more than most people. Guys, I've done so many breakdowns on the channel going over the whole history and lore of all the OC characters, Ragnarok breakdowns. I actually care and keep up to date about all the OCs in 76 Grand Cross. But unfortunately, the way Netmarble has handled it with like year gaps between chapters and the story just not great. You know, I'd rather them just focus more on 4 Knights. I think that's going to be a better thing for the game. So let's go over to Discord and go through some Q&As that the developer has come out with. Alright, so to get the main context of the story we have so far, to quickly summarize what's going on, there is this new Book of Stars, which is basically an amulet that was created by Dubs, once again tying in towards the 70s lore a little bit of the craftsman being just crafting everything in the story basically. And you follow Tristan as the main character, Teoria, which is King's daughter, and obviously Yan is basically Paimon of the series. And what they are doing, as you can see as we get down here, you can imagine something happens, most likely because of chaos, that is then going to set time and space all over the place basically, where each time you imagine walk into one of these domes, you're going to be in a different point in the series history, where you may walk into this dome over here right above me, and it's the start of series where you have 16-year-old Elizabeth, who's then seeing her future son, who's now 13, being Tristan, and it's going to be a core interaction. You might get over here, will then be like Esterosa versus Escanor, and you got to relive that point, and you might have some cool interactions where Escanor realizes in the future that he's gonna basically die, but you can do it protect his friends, and his cool interaction of all that stuff. So that is what the story is about. Okay, so then we have this quote right here, which is once again more of a summary of what we're about to talk about. So a bit more information about Origins. By the way, the game is not called Origins, it's called Origin. Listen, it's a learning curve everyone needs to get used to. Everyone for some reason calls it Origin. It sounds better, but the game is called Origin. But we will explore the full extent of the 70 Sins IP. That's all I want to hear. My biggest worry and the biggest annoyance about 70 Sins Grand Cross this past year, especially this year and last year, is they're not exploring the full extent. There's so many characters in story mode, like the Endurers and playable characters that are in story mode that you can play as, but they're just not playable characters in game. That's like the full frustration which I have with 70 Sins Grand Cross. So that's already nice to see. We made original story. The OCs are there to fill in the compositions of teams that have missing pieces like the fairies and archangels. We wasn't opposed to OCs back when they first shown in Grand Cross. It's just how they handled them, and I think a lot of people would agree if they handle it well, then we actually don't mind OCs. And hey, you know what, getting more archangels? Oh, wait, I'm jumping ahead. We'll get towards that. Someone asked, since we now know OCs are coming to Origin, will Ragnarok or the Catastrophes make an appearance? Catastrophes will not, I think, maybe Ragnarok. And this makes a lot of sense, actually. If you don't know the story between the Catastrophes, they were all summoned to Britannia, right? They're all from different timelines, essentially. And I do imagine at the end of the Catastrophe storyline, finishing in Grand Cross, of course, they're going to go back to the original timelines or original worlds. I don't know, right? So yeah, them not returning makes sense. Plus, to be honest, you lot they're terrible. Like another problem I have OCs is that they're all just Guna bait. Like there's a reason why the main catastrophes is 6 females and 1 male character, and also the reason why the main villain group is 3 female characters. When characters are made to sell because people are horny, essentially, it's not good storytelling. Where like, you know, the ones that could become in Origins could have some good story about it and good design that, you know, we can appreciate and like them a lot more. And it's kind of why a lot of us liked Ragnarok. It's just, once again, the way they handle Ragnarok with 1 chapter a year. Yeah, people are going to lose interest. Ragnarok stuff I don't mind seeing. Like, you know, imagine the Thor gets summoned and we see a hammer. Like, I'd be gassed. Someone asked, would the updates be monthly or weekly, but more or less bi-weekly like Grand Cross? And he does respond saying monthly, which, you know, fair enough, right? You know, this is a Genshin style game. I'm not expecting to get a character every 2 weeks like how we do on Grand Cross. He also goes on to say Chaos might be returning into Origin, though. Talking about Chaos as an entity. This might get into spoilers. We do know Chaos is an entity, and the only thing we've seen of Chaos is this panel right here, which, you know, it looks like a human, and that's like super interesting towards the lore of Four Knights that has once again not been explored yet. That will most likely get explored later on. And yeah, that's like the main villain. Sign me up a little bit. This comment is mixing some context. There was a YouTube post on some video where someone says, why did they keep doing OCs? And this is in response towards that. Also to respond, 70 Sins don't have that many units fit for a game, which is much different than saying 70 Sins as an IP doesn't have a lot of characters, because that is not true. 70 Sins alone has a lot of characters, especially in comparison towards other animes. People always compare it to like Bleach and Dragon Ball. Sure, it doesn't, right? But it still has a lot of actual characters. And, you know, that's ignoring Four Knights Apocalypse, which is then an expansion of the previous story where you see time skip designs of other characters, you see new characters, and it's still ongoing and weekly to where, and we just got a new arc that introduced like 7 new villains. It's like, you know, it's going to continue to expand. You know, we have enough characters. Therefore, we need to adjust it, but that's not the main reason why Netmarble makes OCs. Someone then says, as long as the original story is interesting, I'm down for it, but I'm also skeptical because I feel like the Ragnarok and Catastrophe story didn't land us much, and someone said that's because it wasn't written by a writer. That's interesting. We know that, like, I think Netmarble originally designed Ragnarok beforehand, and it's just something they probably want to do. So like, that's why the story feels weak, right? And then we make an appearance. Of course, Beats Me Off would say that. I don't even know what that means. But yeah, he responds to my tweet by saying there's original demons in there too. We just showed off the newer ones, which is yeah, confirming the demon, but also confirms the vampire later on. Of course, the game needs OC stuff. I don't think they need OC stuff. They can have it, but they don't need it. It's just typical YouTuber hate bonus for OCs. I mean, yeah, because the way they've been handled, you know. We liked OCs at the start of the game. Everyone was excited for Ragnarok. You know, no one was complaining about Ragnarok being added to the game when it got added because it was cool. We like side stuff to add on to what we already have in the game. But once again, when you take away from 70 Sins, that's where I have a problem with it. And I see most people too. Then someone says, yeah, the 70 Sins IP is not that big. And he responds saying, yeah, that's why it's called Origins. Origin, by the way, not Origins. Because it's a different story, but with characters of the big favorites. Once again, I still wholeheartedly disagree. I think 70 Sins as a standalone IP is still fine. I still think you can add OC stuff, but to say we need it is definitely not true. I mean, I talked about it before, but Netmarble just loves OC stuff. Look, OCs are just a Netmarble thing. If you don't know, there's a Netmarble game they made called, I think, Marvel Future Strike, which is a game based off Marvel characters, which, if you don't know, there's apparently over 80,000 Marvel characters in the lore. And guess what? Netmarble still made OCs because they just love making OCs. Does Marvel need OC characters? No, they just like doing it. Then someone says down here, I don't know how people are surprised there's new demons when Grand Cross has Belmoth and Howlix. It's a bit different. I think adding random NPC demons, like big demons, is fine. Like, no one's going to care about that. The problem is when those are playable, and once again, they're taking the slot of a 70 Sins character. That new demon we saw in the trailer might be playable, and when we get that one character for a month, and we don't get, like, someone like Derriere, people will be upset. But yeah, them expanding, like, more demons and more villains and, like, you know, little NPCs roaming around is fine. But when you have a whole plot and dedicated story and you don't handle it well, then yeah, people will be annoyed. This comment was funny. As an OC hater, I don't think the OCs are bad in Origins, genuinely. So once again, that's, you know, he has inside knowledge. When I personally do like the OCs in Grand Cross and Ragnarok, but can understand that it's definitely not a great storyline, seeing this is, yeah, give me more hope towards the characters. Someone does respond with, I like the OCs, but most of them are mid. And then he's talking the reason why they've done the OCs is to balance out the demons, the archangels, and also other races like fairies and giants. Because, yeah, there aren't that many, right? But yeah, I kind of like this reason a little bit. They're not doing OCs because they don't have enough characters as a whole, but they want to expand demons, you know, and also the vampires we'll get to later on, and like the angels and archangels. That I don't mind doing. But I said in my last video, and this is by far not reasonable, and we're going to get to it later on. I would prefer it be created by the author of Sunny Sins, because then it fits into the world. But what if there will be more archangels but OCs? Archangels is crazy, by the way. If this is goddesses, I wouldn't mind that. But like, I think there can only be 4 archangels, so how can there be more of them? I don't know how I feel about the archangels, but goddesses I don't mind. He then responds with, there is vampire OCs, which I actually don't mind. Like, the vampires are like sorely unutilized, not only in 70 Sins, we hardly even see it in Grand Cross. But yeah, as a whole, like, I don't mind them expanding more towards the vampires. That is actually very cool. We just don't want to show them yet. But he does say, I didn't screenshot it, but someone says this guy looks like a vampire. You can see the little fangs there, but it could just be demons. But yeah, apparently this guy is a vampire. But once again, elaborate, I get the hate for the Grand Cross OCs too, which once again, guys, can you blame most people, and including myself, that like says all the stuff we say about the OCs because they've been handled poorly. But the origin ones are quite cool. I like the angels and vampires. Once again, angels, right? Not archangels. I think if it's archangels, I'm a little worried. This one got me excited. Fortnite's Arthur could be the main villain, but you didn't hear it from me. And that's something I said in my comments and a lot of my last videos where like, once again, we saw the trailer, and which is why I was really annoyed about this trailer. Why are we seeing OCs when we don't have context towards them? You know, getting 1 trailer a year, we got to try and piece all the stuff together. And, you know, if you showed me Arthur being the main villain and going back in time and, like, you know, taking over Camelot, recruiting other humans and doing all sort of stuff, that is more appealing towards me. I would have much preferred them to do that than show OCs. Not as, like, you know, I think you could have showed the OCs and Arthur, right? I think the fact they only showed the OC characters and then ended it off with an OC character we have no context is, once again, my biggest problem with this trailer. If they ended with Arthur arriving in Britannia, I would have been screaming. Someone says she looks like an elf, and then he says there is. No, I don't think implying she's an elf, but I think there will be elves. And then once again, one of my big criticism towards not only the new demon that we did see, or vampire, whatever it may be, and I guess even this little fairy, and also this elf, whoever this character actually is it doesn't look like a 70 Sins character. That's the way I feel. You know, it's subjective, right? But I think I'm right by saying that, because then he does say, yes, we went with a weather and wave-like design, which, once again, that's not 70 Sins. They're clearly trying to cater towards, yeah, I guess the Weather and Wave fans, the Genshin fans, which is fine. But hey, when I criticize them and say it doesn't fit in 70 Sins, I think I have all the rights to say that, because if you look at the character, right, you know, imagine her standing next to Melly Elizabeth. They don't fit in. Someone then asks, once again, so will there be like OC Camelot Knights, right? And he said, yeah, originals shown in 4 nights. Because again, the 70 Sins manga isn't designed for a game. So that's why there's less characters. I mean, what anime or manga is designed for a game? This one's actually really funny. Grey Road never released in Origins 2, and then Kevin does respond and confirm that yes, it will release in Origins, which for starters, Kevin, pronouns, she does go by she. And it is actually answered one of the questions we've had for a long time, where someone says, I don't think Goth will be in though. Yeah, Grand Cross had some issues with it. So yeah, I think the theory a lot of people had where the voice actor passed away, and obviously, you know, I think Asian culture is very respectful of the dead. I know for like Kingdom Hearts, like Phil in Hercules, his voice actor died, and throughout the game he had like no voice acting. So that's why people thought that they weren't gonna, you know, have him in game. And yeah, that looks like to be true. This is cool. They actually planned for English dub, which is nice. And then finally here, guys, they do confirm that collaborations will be in the game, which, you know, once again, I'm all for. I remember seeing the first trailer where you see like a massive giant Diane running around, thinking, damn, how cool would that be if we had like Titan Arrow running around? I don't mind it. It's just, personally, I might be burnt out by it, because I had to do it in Grand Cross. I'm probably going to have to do it in Series of Adult Adventure. And then now I got to do it in Origins. You know, I can only summon Eren so many times on these 70 Sins games. I'm going to get tired of it. But yeah, guys, that is it for the Q&A we have for Origins. Like I did say, that is, you know, some much needed context we kind of need from this trailer. Because like I did say, you know, when we only get 1 trailer a year, and because comparable towards the trailer we saw 2 years ago, you know, I want to see what they've been working on for the last year. Because once again, the reason why I'm so... We all have so high hopes for this game is because of how much Grand Cross is taking a hit because of Origin. 17th Grand Cross has gone down the dumpster because of Origin. And the reason why all of us accept that is because Origin is meant to be like the best anime game ever made. So when they release one trailer a year and we see the same things we saw in the last year, like what have they been working on for a whole year? Clearly a lot, by the way. But show us that, right? This more likely will be the final trailer of the year, obviously. And then as we head in towards next year and we gear up towards the release of the game, you know, they're probably going to show more of it and there'll be more better trailers. But, you know, when we've seen, you know, more OC characters than commandments in our Series Sins game, that's where I start to worry a little bit. Very much looking forward towards the story, like how they handle all these cool moments of like Elizabeth going back in, or going forward in time and seeing her son, Escanor, you know, all the other cool things. You know, one thing we're never going to get in the 70s lore, unless something happens later on in the Four Knights, is Escanor versus Chaos Arthur. Imagine we get that animated and a cool little fight scene in Origins. That is sick, right? Once again, I think my bigger thing, especially about OC content, is I don't mind it. I just would prefer they do more OC content for 70 Sins, right? In Four Knights, we've seen so far that the commandments, Melascula and also Galang, got resurrected with Chaos and had their new Chaos form. Once again, they could easily go back and do original forms for the old commandments. They're very reincarnated with Chaos. Esterosa reincarnated with, I guess not reincarnated because he's not dead, but, you know, Esterosa version with Chaos, or he absorbs Chaos. Like, there's cool stuff they can do in terms of original content, but with 70 Sin stuff, rather than making completely new stuff, which I want to see them do more of. Like, I think, once again, I talked about before, Bleach, they do it. They're resurrection forms where they have, you know, all the Arancas, but a new, different design. You know, in 70 Sins Grand Cross, we've seen that as well, where they had, you know, for April Fools, we had the one Purgatory Meliodas. Why not do that? I want to see more of that in the game, more so than just focusing solely on just making new characters that people don't know about. I'm sure we're going to grow to like them as they have probably a more unique story, but, you know, ending a trailer off with this when no one knows this character is a little bit embarrassing. There are some more stuff that I didn't cover in the actual Q&A that I did in the Discord, and maybe there will be more stuff coming out for the course of the next few, I guess, months and years leading up to release of the game. One thing that I didn't find, but I did see, is that Kevin did say that once Origin does release, they're going to then put more focus in towards Grand Cross, or both Grand Cross and Origins. The way he spoke about it is that, yes, everything is now all in on Origins, and once they finish that and, you know, they have released the game, then Grand Cross will probably pick up some pace again, which will be quite nice. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, we'll be back in maybe 1 year, or you know, when we get next info, who knows when. But yeah, peace.